Here's 3 pieces of wisdom that I wish that I had known before I first started writing stories, whether that's novels, memoirs, or screenplays. Number 1, and that's write what is interesting to me, and I'm going to be reading what's interesting to me. And if I'm reading what's interesting to me, it's going to be interesting to a lot of other people too. And therefore, when I sit down to write, I don't have to do as much research or learn concepts or principles from scratch. I don't have to be a student of certain cultures if I've already been seeped into that culture and that literature and understanding the lingo. It'll be much easier to write. It's also more fun to write, and writing is a due diligence. It is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so if you don't enjoy the story you're telling, you probably won't finish the project. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy or Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to be realistic. And that leads into number 2, and that is write the story that you want to read. If you're writing the story that you want to read and you really understand the material that you're writing, you're going to write something good, especially after feedback from friends, family, readers, and also your editors. And number 3, you have to deliver the promise that you made to your readers. If I'm advertising my book as self-improvement, but it's filled with religious text and religious principles, people who aren't religious or who don't agree with that particular theology will reject it, and they will leave you a lot of negative reviews. And it's the flip side. If you're going to write religious nonfiction book, it can't just be a couple of scriptures and then a bunch of self-improvement, because whichever religion your readers are from, they're going to resent it and consider it secular. And they also will leave you negative reviews. If I promise you a suspense thriller, but it turns out to be a horror or a slasher story, you won't like that. If I promise you romance, but the whole story is filled with tragedy and the main characters die in the end, you won't like that. If I promise you drama, but it's a comedy, if I promise you comedy and it's a drama, you won't like that. Fulfill the promise you made to your reader and make sure all the questions in the story that rise, make sure that they're answered. And if you do these things that I told you, you will be years ahead of other first-time writers. Do you know someone that could benefit from this video? Send it to them. Do you have any advice for writers? Do you have any questions? If so, leave them in the comments.